We are in Regina for the Canadian Bowl. Right now, we are at Mosaic Stadium. The teams, the warm-ups have finished. We got the Canadian Bowl in behind us here, and I'm joined by President of Football Canada, Jim Mullin. Jim, uh, you've been in town for a few days as part of the conferences and meetings. Why is the Canadian Bowl something that Football Canada wants to be involved with and support?
Well, because it's one of the top tiers of development for the amateur system. This is when we get kids starting at the age of 8, 9, 10. This is something that they should aspire to. This is something that they should target within their football path. Plus, this thing is, in one way or another, 114 years old, maybe a few years older than that. It's the oldest championship in Canadian amateur football. Yes, it's older than the Yates Cup. I got to note that, even though that's being played today, I believe, over at Western Ontario in London. So there's plenty of reasons for us to be involved. And the other thing is that it's so energizing being in a room full of people who are leading junior football, who are specifically focused on football and finding answers in and around the game. That gives me energy. Every time I come back from one of these junior meetings, I come back with renewed enthusiasm for the tackle game.
So, over the course of the meetings, you updated the executive on some initiatives that Football Canada already has and is working towards. What's maybe one thing that you think is going to be important for Football Canada over the next 6 months or so?
Well, there's a number of things. As a matter of fact, I think I had 15 minutes scheduled. We went 1 hour, and I could have gone another hour because we were talking about our events, what we want to do internationally. The diversity file is something that is always evolving. And it's important to note that as we develop policy around these pieces, this is something that we share and develop with groups like the CJFL and U Sports and all of our PSOs. So that policy development is going to be important, especially in regard to safe sport. I think we all know some of the issues out there with some of the other NSOs, Hockey Canada, Gymnastics Canada. That has put all of the national sports system on the radar right now of Sport Canada and the Heritage Ministry. Over the next 3 months or so, we're going to have a very non-football, unsexy policy overhaul that's going to take a lot of work behind the scenes that we're going to have to deliver to our members, whether they're our PSOs or our associate members like the CJFL, to make sure we have a sports system and a football system that is abuse-free. So that is probably the number one thing that's in front of us right now is safe sport compliance, and then we can get back to focusing on the game we all love.
And I know other things we talked about, the importance of inclusion and diversity going forward. So as you say, there's lots going on from the Football Canada perspective. I guess maybe lastly, the atmosphere here. We're at Mosaic Stadium. It's very, very cold here. Is this kind of the essence of playoff football in Canada? Like, if you're playing deep into the season, it's going to be an atmosphere like this.
Yeah, well, I'm from BC. I live on the coast, so yeah, this is very, very cold for a guy like me. This is the essence of certainly Canadian football or prairie football. I know it can get really cold in Ottawa, too, at this time of year. I know it can get really cold in Quebec City at this time of year. But I see snow that looks like ice crystals. The one thing that is saving us right now is that we don't have that wind.
Right.
Like up in Saskatoon last week, they had 45-kilometer-an-hour gusts, and the field was covered in snow. They couldn't shovel it off quick enough. We've got a good track here today, and the wind will make it tolerable for the faithful that's turning out here at Mosaic Stadium.
Well, Jim, I appreciate the time, and thanks for everything that you and Football Canada do for the OFC and CJFL.
Well, thanks for what you do in the media space, and you know what? It was so good to see the progress that the OFC has made over this last year with the revival of the Ottawa Sooners, with what's going on in Quinte, and the shift with the frat men to St. Clair and being fully bought into that institution. There's a really good base in the OFC, and it's really encouraging for the future.
Absolutely. We're certainly proud of all of our teams in the OFC. So, Jim, thanks again.
Thanks.